so excited to be joining us tonight. I am coming in from Johnston County, North Carolina right now. We are hosting over 30 of these parties across the state. We are here from Murphy to Manteo. We have over 900 folks that are joining us both in person and virtually. So welcome to our wonderful night celebrating our judicial elections. As all of you know, North Carolina went through a hellacious last 6 months for Republicans trying to deny election results in our state. And we are so proud to be tonight to be joined by our fantastic fighter for justice, Allison Riggs, who has fairly won her election and has now been certified to be our Supreme Court Justice on the North Carolina Supreme Court, everybody. So if you all could, we're going to welcome up from Winston, Justice Allison Riggs, everybody. We're going to see if we can do this. This is our first technical difficulty that we may be going through, folks. But again, 30 different cities. We're so excited. And a very big shout out to our fantastic judicial director, Becca Zirkin, who helped put this on tonight, everybody. Thank you so much, Becca. Woo! And I'm still waiting to see if
All right. I cannot get our speakers.
Do you want me to start the video?
Huh?
Do you want me to start the video?
No.
No.
Sounds like they're getting their room together. Let's give them just a second.
About to say, and if not, I know that we may have a Justice Earls too, so we can also come back to Justice Riggs if we need to. It's so exciting. We had so many people joining us tonight, everybody. One of the first times that we've ever tried to do such a cool hybrid option of having so many folks from across the state, but it is very, very cool. So I'm going to ask though, is Greensboro ready by chance though? Because what we'll do, we'll come back to 2024. How about it? We might go right along to 2026 if we are here.
All right. I'm ready. Yes. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Anita Earls. I serve you as the Senior Associate Justice on the North Carolina Supreme Court. And I am so thrilled to be here with incredible Guilford County Dems. So I'm going to take just a minute to tell you why our Supreme Court matters and tell you a little bit about myself. I think you all know that our court makes decisions that impact your lives. Everything from how much you pay for electricity, whether you'll be compensated if you're injured on the job, and of course those really important decisions about our voting rights. Whether your vote's going to be counted or thrown out, and whether or not we are going to have election methods that are fair. And so remember that the 2022 court, which was 4 Democrats and 3 Republicans, said that extreme partisan gerrymandering violates the state constitution and required the legislature to draw fair districts. We said it violates the Constitution no matter who does it, whether Democrats or Republicans are gerrymandering. Extreme partisan gerrymandering is unfair and unconstitutional and doesn't reflect the voting strength of voters in the state. We also, in 2022, the democratically controlled court said that all the children of this state are entitled to a sound basic education in a uniform system of public education. And we similarly said that the voter ID requirement passed by the General Assembly was intentionally racially discriminatory against Black voters in the state. But then the court flipped hands. In 2023, the Republicans took over with 5 seats to just 2 Democrats. And they did something that hasn't happened in the 200-year history of our court. They said, we're going to rehear those cases. We're going to take up issues that had already been decided, and we're going to decide them differently. And so that's why we ended up with the court saying, we can't do anything about gerrymandering. They put a halt to the money that should be spent for our public schools, and we still have not issued issued a ruling in that case. And they said it's fine to use voter ID. And so that is why we find ourselves in a situation now where we have a congressional delegation that is 10 Republicans, 4 Democrats, not reflecting the voting patterns of the state. We have a General Assembly where more people in 2024 voted for candidates for state house, Democratic candidates for state house and state senate than Republicans. And yet, we have a supermajority, veto-proof majority in the state senate, and there's only one vote difference separating them having a supermajority, veto-proof majority in the House. And so you don't need to be a mathematician or a political scientist to understand that our election districts are not fairly representing the voting strength of the people of the state. And here, because we don't have initiatives and referenda, the only way to get back to a democracy in this state where our legislative delegations represent the voting strength of the voters of the state is through the courts. And so fortunately, we have a 3-step plan. We've achieved step 1. Step 1 was to keep Justice Riggs on the court. I am on your ballot in 2026, and I'm going to be across the state trying to make sure that voters understand why our court matters and the decisions we make that impact their lives. But I'm also relying on all of you to spread that word. And of course, the 3rd step is that in 2028, 3 Republican seats on the Supreme Court are up. Chief Justice Newby, Justice Berenger, and Justice Berger. And if Democrats take those seats, we will have a court in place prior to the next round of redistricting that understands the importance of standing up for your rights, protecting your rights and freedoms, and having an elections process that fairly represents people's voting strength. So that's a little window of what's at stake and why it matters. In terms of my own background, when you're out there talking to voters and saying, here's why I support Justice Earls, I hope that you'll let them know that I'm someone who spent over 30 years of my career representing ordinary folks in civil rights cases of all types, mostly across North Carolina. And I am someone who believes in the importance of equal justice under the law. And I guess the other thing that I want to leave you with is the faith and the confidence that we can do this. In 2018, when I ran the first time, it was a blue moon election, no Senate seat on the ballot, and yet the midterm turnout was higher than prior midterms and actually higher than the subsequent midterm. So we know we can get voters out if we work hard. I know that it's only through the grassroots level, the folks who are precinct chairs, the people who are on the doors, the people who are using all of their tools, whether it's social media, whether it's your reading book club, however you interface with folks in the community, take the opportunity to make sure they know about why our state courts in North Carolina are so important. You are the ones who can really make a difference, and I will support your work any way I can. My website is Earls for Justice. You can number 4 or spell out 4, but all one word, earlsforjustice.com. You can sign up there. That's how you can donate to my campaign. And I promise you, I will be working hard between now and November of 26 and after to make sure that we realize our vision for a court that stands up for your freedoms, that defends your rights, and that enforces the Constitution in a way that respects all of North Carolina's citizens. So that's my pitch. And I feel like I should hand it back over to Anderson.
Supreme Court justice who has been shortlisted to be on the United States Supreme Court as well. We are so proud. That's right now. Thank you for all the work that you do, and thank you for joining us tonight in Guilford. I see now we've got Forsyth County online, and we are going to go back to 2024 to celebrate it being over. Welcome, Justice Allison Riggs, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? All right. Look at this crowd we have here in Forsyth. I am sorry we had to do a little switcheroo, but I am so grateful to be here with all of these fine folks. And it's very weird for me to have my back to everyone, but I see a lot of happy faces out there. I'm Justice Allison Riggs. I am your newest North Carolina Supreme Court. As NCDP said, it's signed, certified, and delivered now. But I want to thank you all for standing with me for the last 6 months. It has been challenging beyond belief, but I did not wake up one day in the last 6 months and feel alone. I never once had any doubt that the amazing people in this room and in all of these different rooms across the state love democracy as much as I do and value our constitutional rights as much as I do, and we're willing to fight like hell to get the right outcome here. And I really wanted to introduce Justice Earls because she is very special to me. She is someone, when I was a young attorney, new to the practice, a young woman in a field that has not always been super welcoming. Justice Earls poured into me, believed in me, and she always, always, always treats everyone with respect and kindness, including the folks who walk into her courtroom. And that's what we need in North Carolina. It is so important that the people on the bench value the folks in the room, their dignity, their hard work, the importance of their cases. So there is nothing that I am more jazzed about than working to elect Anita Earls again in 2026. We've got some amazing Court of Appeals candidates, and I'm really excited to work for them too. But let me tell you real quickly that as frustrating as the last 6 months have been for all of us, we can't let it be normalized. It isn't what we can accept going forward. But I think they have underestimated us and made a terrible mistake, because now we know what the Republican judicial brand is all about. Win at all costs. Your rights come second to their personal political ambitions. That is what they are offering the voters of North Carolina. And we know now that we have a message that resonates with so many people, and we will not let them forget who was trying to disenfranchise eligible voters who cast lawful ballots and who was standing up even for the people who didn't vote for them. That is character, that is integrity, and that's what we deserve as North Carolinians. I know that we are going to continue to not just campaign harder, but campaign smarter and think about the messages that we are talking to voters about. I was telling folks in this room, as far as I'm concerned, there are 68,000 voters that I'm going to spend every day between now and November 2026 talking to and reminding. And Justice Earls is going to win by 10,001 votes because we're going to up the margin and get past that nice recount threshold. But they underestimated us. We stood together. You all made your voices heard. And I am so grateful for NCDP and all the county parties who, for the last 2.5 years and already now tonight, are telling everyone how important the judicial races are and how critical winning these races is to making sure that we all get a North Carolina that serves us well. So thank you for being in this arm in arm with us. And I look forward to spending just as much time with you in the next 18 months in pursuit of getting some really great people elected to the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals. And thank you again for everything that you've done.
Thank you so much, Justice Riggs. You have taught not just North Carolina, but also this entire country how to fight, and that when Democrats fight, we do win. So thank you. Now I have the honor, before we introduce you all to our fantastic Court of Appeals candidates for 2026, I'm going to call up our Judicial Director, Becca Zirkin, to walk you all through what is the pathway back to our courts and how are we as North Carolina Democrats going to fight like hell to make it happen. Becca, over to you. Becca, you're muted still.
Okay, I'm good. Hey, everybody, I'm here in.
Still muted.
How am I still muted? You don't hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Woo! I'm here in a Pat's house in New Hanover. My job to make sure that we all understand the plan to take back our courts. So I'm just gonna go quick through the basics. In North Carolina, we elect all of our judges and they run in partisan races. We have trial court judges and they run in districts, and we're honored to have many district court and superior court judges joining us tonight at the parties. And thank you all for all you do to protect our rights. We have appellate court judges and they run statewide. These are our Supreme Court, our Court of Appeals judges and our Supreme Court justices. District court judges serve for 4 years and all the other judges for 8 years. That means each of their wins or losses impacts us for nearly a decade. The Supreme Court has 7 justices, including only 2 Democrats who you just heard from, our champion, Justice Riggs, who just won her 8-year term, and the amazing Justice Earls, who we must reelect in 2026. And in 2028, we can take 3 more seats, just like Justice Earls told us, that we would have a Democratic majority in place before the next round of redistricting, and that could change our state for decades. Now, let's talk about the Court of Appeals. There are 15 seats on the Court of Appeals, and they hear cases in panels of 3. And in 2026, the only 3 seats up for election are the 3 Democrats on that court. Judge Toby Hampson, Judge John Arrowwood, they are up for re-election in 2026, and you are going to hear from them shortly. Judge Allegra Collins has decided not to run for re-election, and I am extremely grateful to her for her dedicated service to her state. I'm very pleased that Judge Christine Walczyk, who is currently a highly regarded district court judge in Wake, has stepped forward to run for that seat, and she is joining us tonight from Wake Forest. But we need more than 3 seats on this court to uphold our democracy, and in 2028, we will have the chance to elect 5 more Democrats. And you know who else is still sitting on the Court of Appeals? Our very good friend, Jefferson Griffin. And he will be up in 2030 and we will be waiting. So now that you've got the plan, we're going to need your help to make it happen. It's going to take a lot of money. And if you can spare it, we'd ask you to please set up a monthly contribution to the Judicial Fund. And we're going to need your help to talk to lots of voters lots of times, starting in just a couple of weeks. And you're going to hear more from Anderson about that later. And now I will pass it back to her.
Thank you so much, Becca. Now that you've heard the plan, you know the plan, Justice Earls has talked about it, Justice Riggs has talked about it, we've had Becca talk about it. I'm going to introduce you all to our Court of Appeals judges who have been fighting with Republican extremism in our courts also throughout their terms, and sometimes the folks that are a little bit lesser known on our ballots. So I'm very excited that tonight we have got Judge John Arrowwood joining us from Mecklenburg County, everybody.
Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for being here. I am so happy to be able to address folks across the state. And what I want to tell you about is when you are at your Rotary Club, or you're in the grocery store, or you are at coffee at church or your synagogue or your mosque, and people say, why should I be concerned about who sits on the Court of Appeals? Let me tell you, the North Carolina Court of Appeals hears appeals in all criminal cases other than those where the death penalty has been imposed, in all civil cases like car wrecks, contract disputes, all of those cases where it's not at the business court. We hear cases, custody, divorce, child support, all your workers' comp cases, all the cases from around the state is what comes to us first. And when the court was initially constituted, there was a rule that if it was 2-1 at the Court of Appeals, then you had an automatic right to appeal the Supreme Court. In the last budget cycle, the legislature did away with that right. So because of that, the folks who sit on your Court of Appeals 2-1 can decide probably over the 90% of the cases, because to get to the Supreme Court now, they have to vote to take the case. That is why it is so important to everyday citizens everywhere who sits on our court. A little bit about me. I clerked at the Court of Appeals, was a staff attorney and the head of the staff. For 26 years, I was a commercial litigator representing individuals and businesses. I've been a Superior Court judge, and I've now been on the Court of Appeals for almost 9 years. There's a lot of opinions out there. You can read what kind of a judge I am. You may not agree with all of them. I might not agree with all of them. But folks, we need your help. Every vote counts. We've got to win big in the counties we carry, and we've got to close the margins in the counties that we're not carrying. I'm here today to ask for your help. You can find my information at keepjudgearrowood.com. And thanks to the Democratic Party for all you're going to doing and all you're going to do for us. Cheer, we're going to turn the camera around. Good work, people. Good work.
Also against Judge Jefferson Griffin in his fight to dismantle and try to disenfranchise over 67,000 voters in the case against Justice Riggs. So thank you to Judge Hampson, everybody. Are you out there, Franklin County?
Hallway.
Well, here I am.
Ah, there we are.
Hey. Here we go. All right. Well, I am Judge Toby Hampson. I am one of your statewide elected Court of Appeals judges. When people find out I'm a judge, inevitably, the first thing they say is, well, I hope I never have to appear before you. Well, you know what? It's true. I hope you never do either. And in fact, we don't want to spend our lives worrying about what's happening in courtrooms and what's going on in the courts. And, we want to have faith. We want to trust that our judges are working hard every day, to uphold the rule of law and to protect and preserve our constitutional rights. It's been my honor to serve you for the last 6 years, and I'm excited to run for re-election in 2026, because I think more than ever, we need judges that are committed to upholding that rule of law, to defending our constitutional freedoms, our constitutional protections, and our constitutional rights. Because in these times, it feels like those basic concepts are sometimes under attack. Due process, our right to free speech, and even the right to vote. But I think as Democrats, if we stand together to uphold democratic values of justice and equity for all North Carolinians, no matter who you are, where you come from, or how much or little you have, we can restore faith. We can restore faith in our courts to do the right thing. And we will be a voice for justice. And sometimes we have to do that in dissent. And we do that not to just shine a light on the incorrectness and wrongfulness and the injustice in majority opinions. We do it in hopes of a future court or a higher court seeing the error of the majority's ways. And I think we were able to do that in Justice Riggs' case. First, even our Republican-dominated Supreme Court had to modify our Court of Appeals ruling. And then ultimately, the federal judge recognized one of the basic principles that we espouse in our minority opinion, in our dissent. That you don't change the rules of an election during or after that election. And, and pointed out that the remedy imposed by our court would be unconstitutional. And so I'm running to be that strong voice on the court. And let me tell you, we've got to keep strong, independent, impartial voices on our courts. And that includes Justice Anita Earls, who, let me tell you, if you've never read a Justice Earls dissent, go do it. It's a thing of beauty. They are absolutely fantastic pieces of writing. You've heard the strong voice of Judge John Arrowwood. And later on, you're going to hear from my good friend, Judge Christine Walczak, who will bring an incredible wealth of experience and insight and thoughtfulness to her opinions on the North Carolina Court of Appeals. So I hope you'll stand together with us, because really we stand on your shoulders. Our fight to uphold democracy and uphold justice depends on each and every one of you. So thank you for all you do in your communities and around the state. I look forward to seeing all of you across the state as we get out on this campaign trail. And remember, we can do this together. I hope you'll join me at judgetobyhampson.com, sign up for updates, and contribute to my campaign. Hey, thank you, everybody, and let's hear it again.
Thank you so much, Judge Hampson. I'm trying to make sure my volume works because Catherine said it was cutting out earlier. So I apologize, everybody, if it is. Technical difficulties tonight as we are in, again, 30 counties across North Carolina. Next up, we have got our fantastic Judge Walczak is going to be replacing Allegra Collins on the ballot. Again, to Becca's point, we thank Judge Collins for everything that she's done on behalf of our party. And we're very excited to welcome Judge Walczak in and from Wake Forest tonight, everybody.
Well, welcome to Wake Forest, everyone. My name is Judge Christine Walczak, and I am a trial judge here in Wake County. I've been doing this for 18 years, and I'm going to be running in 2026 for the Court of Appeals. My friend and colleague Allegra Collins has announced that she's not running, so I'll be running for her open seat. Now, you might ask, why, after 18 years, do I want to run for statewide office? Well, I'm becoming increasingly concerned with the public's loss of trust in the court system. And I feel like this nation has forgotten that the court system is a co-equal branch of government. We were designed to be a check on the other two branches of government and to safeguard constitutional and individual rights. And so without judges and without the rule of law, we will have chaos. But complaining about these truths is not enough for me anymore. I decided that if I want to improve the system, I have to take some advice from Brene Brown and get in the arena. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm getting in the arena so that I can fight for the court system and I can stand up for our courts. Now, unlike your elected legislators, your judges take an oath to stand aside and apart from partisan ideals. You know, as much as we'd like to, we do not write laws. We don't advocate for causes. But what we do is we safeguard and protect the fundamental rights, constitutional and statutory, of those that come into our courtroom every day. And we have to be able to do this without bending to public pressure, for public opinion, from special interests, and even from personal attacks. So I'm running because I believe in the rule of law. I believe that an independent judiciary is the most crucial aspect of a lasting democracy. And I'm going to fight for a court system that has integrity. I'm going to fight for a court system that welcomes accountability. And so you all that are here behind me and in front of me are the voters that want to make a difference. You are the voters that want a better government. And so I'm really just honored to be here with all of you tonight. I'm honored to be with this fantastic slate of judicial candidates that have spoken to you. And you know, if you want to know more about me or if you want to support me, you can find me at judgechristine.org. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you so much, Judge Walzik, for joining us tonight. Thank you to Judge Hampson, to Judge Arrowood, to Justice Earls, and to Justice Riggs. Thank you to every one of you across the state who decided that tonight was worth putting in the effort to uplift judicial races and make sure that we have the attention on the fight that we need right now to build back power in North Carolina. How you all are able to get involved, though, I'm hoping that you either have a QR code in front of you, or we're also going to pop up a slide on the screen, because it's time for action. We all know that 2026 is right now, honestly, when we're talking to voters each and every single day, and we need to make sure that we are going around talking about what's happening in our courts, what just happened with Justice Riggs and the fight for democracy, but also the fight to hold Republicans accountable who are trying to fill our courts with more and more corruption. We heard from Justice Earls the power of our courts to be able to give back power to Democrats, both here at the state level and also nationally. We know that Hakeem Jeffries would be Speaker of the House right now had North Carolina not been a gerrymandered state. And we know that the work that we do throughout the next 2 election cycles are going to be what determines the power of the federal party as well in this country. We know that the power of this party runs right through where you're sitting in the South right now. And so if you all are not ready to put on your walking shoes after hearing from these fantastic candidates, I don't know what else to do for you, because I know that I am. And so I hope you all will join us in taking action. You'll join us in staying tuned and going and supporting all of their websites, signing up for their newsletters, and helping each one of your friends understand the importance of judicial races. We're going to be back in each and every single one of your counties this summer and throughout the rest of this year. The North Carolina Democratic Party is going on a 50-county rural tour that you are going to see all of these fantastic judicial candidates at with us in certain stops. They're not going to come to every single one of them. Justice Riggs has already done that for us the last 2 years, but we are going to see her back on the trail this year along with Justice Earls, and we want to be able to come out to your county too. So if you see the list and you don't see your county on it and you would like to help us make your county part of it, we would love to have you. But just thank you for prioritizing the courts tonight. Thank you to our candidates for being willing to put yourselves out there and be in so many different places. 900 folks plus, because I don't have my numbers from Wake or Mecklenburg yet, but I'm very excited too, because I know that every single person across the state that joined in tonight is going to take away that we have got a plan and the power to take back our courts. So thank you everybody for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your party, great rest of your night. And just everybody stay tuned and thank you. Woo! Bye, folks.